Welcome to another episode of Booze and Ghouls. My name is Stan.
And I'm Colleen.
And the reason why I had to talk like that is I had to do at least 5 takes until I actually got it right. Today, Colleen's petting a dog. Today we are doing what today?
Episode 12.
I know it's episode 12.
Oh, did you already say that?
Yeah, I said that. Yeah.
Sorry.
I know it's episode 12. I'm talking about what's our adventure today?
My adventure is Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
In Louisville, Kentucky?
Correct.
All right.
Oh, no. Oh.
I always wanted to go to Louisville. I drove through it, but I always wanted to go to the Louisville.
I know.
Louisville. Would you stop talking to the dog and talk to me for a minute? Sorry, people. I always wanted to go to the Louisville Bat Museum or Factory.
Louisville Slugger?
Louisville
Is that
Slugger.
the word you were looking
That's
for?
what I'm. Why can't I talk today?
And he coaches
a travel team baseball
league for his nephew.
Yes. Well, that doesn't require talking. Well,
but
it does
requires knowing Louisville Sluggers.
Yeah, it does. But they use metal bats. They don't even use wood.
I think Louisville Slugger makes
metal
bats
they
too.
do. I don't know anything about it. Because when I played baseball,
I know.
in my day, I used wood bats.
Okay, you're starting to sound like your dad.
Well.
Hi, Dad. Love you.
Yeah, it's because he's probably going to be listening to this episode. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, so I want you to picture a place built with good intentions and then absolutely crushed by reality. Not metaphorically, literally. By disease, by bureaucracy, by overcrowding, and by a public health crisis so overwhelming that compassion eventually gave way to efficiency.
Is Waverly the place I'm thinking of that was like really overrun by TB? Or
yes.
Is it the same place I'm thinking about?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen this a lot on like places, but I'd like to see your view on it and what you found about it. Pressure.
It
pressure.
Is under pressure. I don't know if I can do that without. Never mind. So the sanatorium was perched above Louisville, Kentucky, and it is not famous because it's spooky. It's famous because so many people died there that the living had to invent systems just to move the bodies quietly.
The tunnel.
Waverly Hills isn't a creepy abandoned hospital story. It's a mass death site tied directly to one of the deadliest diseases in modern history, tuberculosis. Before antibiotics, before effective containment, before anyone really understood what they were fighting, TB was a slow execution, and Waverly Hills became the place where Louisville sent thousands of people to wait it out, sometimes to recover, but often to die. The haunting reputation didn't come later. It was baked in from the beginning. But before we go there, because we absolutely will, let's pause for a moment and do what Booze and Ghouls does best.
I'm ready. This is my favorite time.
If you're listening to this and feeling the emotional weight already, same. This is one of those episodes where the drink is less celebration and more coping mechanism. For Waverly Hills, I'd recommend something classic and medicinal adjacent, and a favorite of my father's. Do you know what it is?
I have no clue.
A hot toddy.
Oh, that was your dad's favorite drink.
That's what I just said. Or a whiskey with honey and lemon. Historically appropriate, slightly comforting, and very I'm alive and grateful for antibiotics. Sip respectfully. LOL. Why? I'm trying to cheers you.
I'm sorry.
Schlante. Thank you.
I'll drink to anything, really.
The first version of Waverly Hills opened in 1910 as a small two-story facility meant to house about 40 to 50 TB patients. Louisville was booming at the time, and with population growth came disease. What was that?
What was what?
Okay.
No, I hear it too.
I heard something fall or something.
I hear like something's eating something. Oh, that's your necklace, for fuck's sake.
I should have just let you go with that. Anyway.
You're a mean wench sometimes.
Sometimes. Tuberculosis spread easily in crowded housing, workplaces, and public spaces. And by the early 20th century, it was one of the leading causes of death in the United States. The problem? The city wildly underestimated how bad it was going to get. By the early 1920s, TB cases in Louisville had exploded. The original sanatorium was completely overwhelmed, and officials decided the only solution was bigger, higher, and farther from the city, literally isolating the sick from everyone else. Construction began on what would become the iconic 5-story Waverly Hills building, and it was completed in 1926.
I didn't realize it was 5 stories.
The iconic version, yes, the rebuild.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that big.
So the new structure was able to house over 400 patients at a time, with wide sun porches, massive windows, open air balconies. At the time, fresh air and sunlight were considered legitimate medical treatments. Patients were often wheeled outside year-round, even in winter, bundled in blankets, because doctors believed cold, clean air could slow the disease. Sometimes it helped, often it didn't. What did happen was that patients stayed for months or years, watching others around them deteriorate. TB did not kill quickly. It ate people alive from the inside with coughing fits, fever, night sweats, extreme weight loss. Many patients were young. Many were separated from their families indefinitely, and some never left the building alive. At its peak, Waverly Hills saw more than one death per day, and conservative estimates place total deaths somewhere between 6,000 and 9,000 people. And those numbers may be low. Record keeping wasn't perfect, and during outbreaks, speed mattered more than documentation. Which brings us to one of the most infamous features of Waverly Hills, the body chute.
Yeah, I've heard about this one.
Officially known as the service tunnel, this long, sloped corridor ran from the hospital down the hill to a lower road. The purpose wasn't mysterious. It was practical. Dead bodies needed to be removed without destroying morale. Patients were already terrified. Watching corpses being wheeled past their rooms all day wasn't exactly great for recovery. So the deceased were wrapped, placed on carts, and quietly sent down the tunnel, often at night, away from the main hospital areas. No ceremony, no pause, just efficiency. And yes, staff nicknamed it the death tunnel.
I could see that.
It is important to understand that when people talk about hauntings later, Waverly Hills was not one traumatic event. It was years of sustained death, normalized through routine. Nurses, doctors, and orderlies weren't cruel. They were exhausted. And when a place operates under that kind of emotional weight for decades, it leaves a mark. TB treatment TB treatment was at Waverly Hills ranged from hopeful to horrifying. Before antibiotics like streptomycin became available in the 1940s, doctors tried everything. Some patients underwent surgical procedures. These procedures were painful, risky, and not always effective. Many patients died during treatment or shortly after. When antibiotics finally arrived and TB rates plummeted, Waverly Hills' original purpose vanished almost overnight. In 1961, it was repurposed as a geriatric facility, then later as a state hospital, and eventually shut down completely in 1982 after allegations of neglect and abuse. And that second chapter matters because trauma didn't end when TB did. Reports from the later hospital era include patient mistreatment, overcrowding, and unsafe conditions. The building deteriorated, staffing was inadequate, patients were vulnerable. When the doors finally closed, Waverly Hills was left abandoned, full of memories, resentment, and unanswered questions.
Well, you're full of great news today, aren't you?
Sorry.
Just you went from the dark last episode to even darker this episode.
Well, the haunting's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, I guess.
And that's where the modern experiences begin. Staff described it before Waverly Hills was abandoned, and why some of the most compelling encounters don't come from ghost hunters. They come from the people who worked there when it was still operating. What makes Waverly Hills different from a lot of haunted locations is that the strange reports didn't start after abandonment. They started while the hospital was still functioning. Nurses, orderlies, and maintenance staff reported things they couldn't explain while patients were still filling the beds. And those accounts matter more than the later flashlight session era because these were people with no incentive to dramatize anything. Dramatize?
You said dramatize.
I know. Dramatize?
Oh, okay.
Dramatize anything. They were just trying to get through a brutal shift. What's going on here?
What's going on, Athena and Hera?
Oh, Athena left one side. Oh, no, she didn't.
She's over here.
Sorry.
Athena's a ham. She needs to be a center of attention.
I know.
So you fucked up this story just so you can get attention.
Can I return to the story?
Can we get back to this? People are wondering what's going on.
I'm not keeping you from doing it, Dad. Staff reports from the 1930s through the 1950s consistently mention sounds that didn't match the layout of the building. Footsteps in empty wards, doors opening and closing on their own, call bells ringing from rooms where patients had died earlier that day. Nurses described hearing coughing fits, deep, wet, unmistakable TB coughs, coming from darkened rooms late at night, only to find them empty. And that detail matters. Tuberculosis coughing has a very specific sound. It is not subtle. Staff knew exactly what it was. When they heard it in places where no one was supposed to be, it rattled them. You think that was supposed to be pun intended?
I don't know.
One of the most persistent early reports involves elevators. Waverly Hills had elevators. We'll wait till.
Are we done?
Okay. One of the most persistent early reports involves elevators. Waverly Hills had elevators designed to move patients and equipment between floors. Staff claimed elevators would stop on floors without being called. Doors opening to empty hallways. Sometimes they wouldn't respond at all, even when clearly functional minutes earlier. Maintenance workers reportedly found nothing mechanically wrong. Then there's room 502, arguably the most famous room in the building and one of the most misunderstood. Room 502 was located on the 5th floor, shocker, and served as a nurse's quarters, not a patient room. The legends surrounding it claim that 2 nurses died there, one by suicide, one under unclear circumstances. The historical record is messy, but there are documented nurses' deaths at Waverly Hills, including one confirmed suicide during the TB era.
Ooh.
Modern investigators report cold spots, intense feelings of dread, unexplained pressure on the chest, and doors slamming without airflow. Some claim to hear voices responding intelligently during EVP sessions, not just static or noise, but short answers. Skeptics will point out environmental factors like drafts and acoustics, but even the skeptics tend to agree that room 502 produces unusually consistent experiences. And consistency is the key theme here. Moving down a floor, the 4th floor is often described as the most emotionally heavy area. Tour guides, investigators, and visitors report nausea, headaches, sudden sadness, and panic-like sensations. This floor once housed the sickest patients, those closest to death. People report hearing children laughing or crying here, which tracks with the reality that TB did not spare kids.
I was gonna ask you if there was, because I don't remember if there was kids there too.
It wouldn't be a case of remembering you didn't live through the TB.
No, I'm not saying
Oh.
like I was there. I'm saying I don't remember like reading stories or watching it because I've seen it on TV. I don't remember if there was kids there or not.
There had to have been. Kids tend to be more susceptible to things.
Yeah. It's just a sad way to.
The death tunnel, unsurprisingly, remains one of the most active areas. Visitors report footsteps behind them, the sound of something being dragged, and feelings of being watched. Some claim to hear whispers or muffled voices echoing down the tunnel. Not loud, not dramatic, just present. The kind of sound that makes you turn around even when you don't want to. One of the more compelling modern accounts comes from security and maintenance staff who worked at the site after it closed, but before it became a tourist destination. Multiple individuals reported seeing shadowy figures at the end of hallways that vanished when approached. Others described lights turning on in sealed areas or alarms triggering without cause. What's notable is that these reports often happened alone, during routine work, without witnesses, not exactly the conditions most people would choose if they were trying to tell a good ghost story. Ghost hunters later added another layer, for better or worse. Waverly Hills became a paranormal hotspot in the early 2000s, featured on television and investigated repeatedly.
One of my favorite TV stations. One of my TV shows. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Which one?
Huh?
Which one?
I watch it almost every Saturday.
Oh, I don't know which one you're talking about.
Ghost Adventures.
Oh. Anyway, EVP recordings allegedly captured phrases like, "help me," and "I'm still here."
Are you still here?
I think I am.
Okay.
Otherwise, I guess you're more in trouble than I am.
Yeah.
Motion.
Well, I am kind of deranged, I guess. I mean, you did see the picture I painted this last week,
but that
right?
is not even. That would not make you deranged.
Yeah, I'm disturbed. I'm a little touched in the head.
Not.
That
You're a little touched.
That fucking painting is disturbing, and I'm the one that did it, and I think it's disturbing. I'm just saying. Sorry, we went to a sip and paint this past weekend.
And it was supposed to be spooky / St. Patrick's Day themed.
Well,
Did she just bring a ball in here?
Yeah. I had no St. Patrick's Day themed. Mine pretty much was graveyards, haunted houses, and a guy with a knife in his head. That was my painting.
I remembered much more blood than I remember graveyards or haunted houses.
And there was a lot of blood, yes, and not painting. That's what I'm saying. It was a little disturbing.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry.
Go back.
We go on tangents at times. Anyway, motion sensors. Motion.
Say that again 20 times fast.
Motion sensors triggered in empty rooms. Thermal cameras showing cold anomalies shaped vaguely like human figures. Skeptics rightly caution against overinterpreting equipment-based evidence. But even critics acknowledge that Waverly Hills produces an unusual volume of experiences compared to similar sites. Not just fleeting shadows, but repeated physical sensations, emotional responses, and intelligent interaction claims. There are also accounts involving physical contact. People report being touched, brushed, or grabbed lightly, often on the arm or back, with no one nearby. Others describe sudden pressure on their chest or difficulty breathing, which is deeply unsettling given the site's history. You okay?
I'm fine. I'm dandy.
I wasn't.
I'm listening.
To you. I was
I'm like, I'm fine.
Sorry, dog.
I'm listening. Dog.
Instead
what
of
up,
squirrel?
dog? What up, dog?
No, instead of squirrels, I get distracted by dogs.
Wow.
Importantly,
this episode is really gone to the dogs.
Maybe we should have waited. Importantly, many visitors say the activity feels observational rather than aggressive. This isn't a place where people report being chased or attacked. Instead, it's described as heavy, watchful, sometimes intrusive, like the building remembers what happened and isn't done acknowledging it. And that framing matters, because if you strip away the ghost hunter language, what you're left with is a location saturated with prolonged human suffering, fear, and isolation. Thousands of people waited there to either get better or die. Many did both, briefly. Waverly Hills doesn't need embellishment. The history alone is brutal enough. How the site is treated today. Why does it remain one of the most studied haunted locations in the U.S.? And whether its reputation says more about ghosts or about how we process places tied to mass death. Today, Waverly Hills exists in a strange in-between space. It's preserved, studied, toured, and carefully managed. But it's never fully neutral. No amount of renovation erases what happened there. Visitors come knowing the stories, and that awareness alone changes how the place is experienced. But even accounting for expectation bias, Waverly Hills continues to generate reports that feel heavier and more consistent than your average haunted building. Tour guides, many of whom are skeptics, describe recurring patterns rather than one-off moments. People independently react to the same areas in similar ways. Visitors who don't know the layout gravitate toward certain rooms and later learn those spaces align with high mortality wards. Children, in particular, are noted to respond strongly, waving, speaking to empty spaces, or refusing to enter specific rooms without prompting. One of the most compelling aspects of modern encounters is how non-theatrical they tend to be. People don't report dramatic apparitions. Instead, they describe subtle intrusions, a name whispered close to the ear, a sensation of being followed, the feeling of someone standing just behind you when logic says no one is there. These are quiet experiences, intimate, almost mundane, and that's what makes them unsettling. Investigators who return multiple times report that activity doesn't escalate on command. You can't provoke it. Some nights are silent, others are heavy. That unpredictability tends that unpredictability lends credibility. If this was just a performance for attention, it would behave differently. There's also a noticeable distinction in where activity is reported. Areas tied to patient care, confinement, and death produce more reactions than the administrative spaces. Offices don't feel the same way wards do. That aligns uncomfortably well with the human cost of the building. And here's where I want to be careful because it matters. Waverly Hills is not a playground for fear tourism. It's a physical record of how society handled disease, poverty, and the expendability of human lives during a crisis. Many patients were sent there because they were sick and poor. Isolation wasn't just medical, it was social. They were removed from public view so the rest of the city could function without confronting the cost. If anything lingers at Waverly Hills, it's not rage or malice. It feels more like unfinished waiting. People who were never meant to be forgotten, but absolutely were. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying that the building holds memory. Trauma doesn't vanish just because the doors close. Places remember what they were used for, especially when that use involved prolonged suffering on an industrial scale. Waverly Hills doesn't feel haunted because it wants attention. It feels haunted because it was never given enough compassion while it was alive. And honestly, that might be worse.
Yeah. That's a sad, sad story. I mean, what happened? What was going on there?
Right.
You know, it's just I've seen. Is it still up? Because I heard that.
It is. They still do tours and stuff.
Do they? I don't know. I heard a rumor that they wanted to tear it down. So that's why I asked.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, it's a sad story though. I mean, imagine how many people died there. You know.
I said somewhere between 6,000
I know.
and
I'm just saying.
9,000.
Imagine that. I mean, that's That's more than some small towns, you know?
I know.
Just imagine, like, a whole town wiped out, you know?
Yes, it is still standing.
Are you looking at the Google machine?
I have the Google machine. It's actually been going under restoration by the current owners,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm not going to mention their names,
Right,
but you can Google it if you'd like.
right.
Since 2001,
Wow.
it's actually a quite Tudor Gothic structure. And it is open for public, historical, and paranormal tours from March until August.
Only March through August?
Mm-hmm. You would think they would want to. Wow, I'm actually glad that they don't.
I'm glad they don't try to make money off the Halloween thing.
Right.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
And the death tunnel is still intact.
Oh, is it? It's still intact?
It is. The outside is in better condition
Mm-hmm.
than the interior. So.
Yeah.
Public 6-hour investigations are around $75 to $90, while private overnight investigations start at approximately $1,000
Oh shit.
for up to 10 people.
Oh well, it's $100 a piece, basically.
Right. For groups wanting exclusive use of, that covers 8 hours with a guide and security. For groups wanting exclusive use of the facility overnight, the price can be around $1,200 or more, depending on the package and date. The 75 to 90 per person is 6 hours, and it includes a short tour, and then you can investigate on your own with security present, and that's generally limited to about 50 people.
I wouldn't. Oh, I was gonna say I wouldn't recommend it being on your own, especially something like that.
Exactly.
You know, I wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend being on your own. Not one bit. So, I was gonna say something. I completely forgot what it was. It had something to do with the podcast and that. I just don't remember what it was. I completely forgot. Oh well. I guess next episode, if I think of it, I'll say it then.
Did you maybe?
Oh, that's what I wanted to say. I was talking to my dad because he told me he listens to our podcast. And he was like, because remember in the earlier episodes, I talk about my childhood experience.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, I didn't realize a lot of that stuff was going on. I was like, well, when this stuff was going on, you were at work because he worked overnights at the time.
Right.
So he's like, do you remember the address of where it was? And I'm like, no, but I'm sure I could figure it out because I'm sure my mom has it in my baby books or something.
Mm-hmm.
I need to find my baby book so I can look. So this summer, me and my dad are gonna go drive to the old apartment and see if it's still there, if it's uh, something else, if it's a vacant lot, because I really don't know what it is, and I'm kind of curious to going back there, see if I get the same feel as I did before. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting.
I'm not saying this to dissuade you and your dad from going there, but I would, just for funsies, use the Google machine first, so that if there's nothing there, if it, you know what I'm saying, if it's turned into something
I would
else.
I would have to find an address first. I don't know the address off of my.
I'm just saying.
I know, I hear you. I mean, even if it's a vacant lot, I still kind of want to go.
Right, but I mean, if it's a house, I don't think you two want to be standing outside someone's house and having a conversation there.
Well, my dad told me that when because they were doing a seance and stuff like that, and I guess they did a little bit of history of the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
That before their apartment was there was a house there, and on the third on the in the attic, someone hung themselves. Well, if you would look at it, where the house was standing, where the attic
Would have
would be
been
the
your
third
floor,
floor of
and
the
that was
apartment where we were at. So it makes sense, and I didn't know that part.
Yeah,
My dad told me that a few weeks ago. I figured, since I've been talking about it on the podcast and telling people, if you haven't heard about it, it's what the first 3 or 4 episodes
yeah.
of my childhood and what made me interested in what we do and what we talk about. It would be the first few episodes. If you haven't listened to them, if you're curious, just download them and listen to them. Let us know what you think. But I talk about that, so it makes sense that because where the attic would be where a third floor would be
Would be
an apartment building.
right.
So it does make sense.
Does your mom know that?
I'm sure she did. I'm more than positive. I'm gonna start going in, and I completely forgot about this. When I had a roommate, where I moved to,
That suburb.
right, that's suburb from Chicago.
Right.
There's stuff that happened to me there,
I knew that.
and there's history of that house. There's history of that
I
house.
wonder if I could remember the address.
I could find that one without any problem, but not this episode. Next episode, I will talk about that.
Okay.
But yeah, I just want to let you know there is more things for me to talk about. I'm not done yet. Believe me,
Mm-mm.
I have a lot more to say. But yeah, we'll start talking about that one next episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as this one goes, is there anything that you really that you need to say or do, or
No,
you need
just
to tell people
the
or tell
baby.
them information about our podcast?
Oh, yes. Okay, so our email, booze, BOOZE, .AND, .GHOULS, .podcast@gmail.com, boozeandghouls.com, podcast@gmail.com, with periods in between. Um, hmm. Yeah, I think that's all.
That's all we got.
Send your personal stories. We'll be happy to tell them.
Yeah, please send personal stories. Give us more content. I'm just playing. We have a lot, but we will say your story on. I can't say on the air. It's not like we're on the radio, but on our podcast.
Any stories that if you send them, we assume that means that you would like them shared with the audience, and we are happy to do so.
But please, when you send us your personal stories or experiences, please let it be legit. I mean, anyone could put any information into AI and they could have a story. Let it be legit. I will be looking at them before I even say them. But, just be truthful. I know there's a lot of people out there that had experiences. Just let us know what they are.
And they don't have to necessarily be hauntings.
No, it doesn't have to be hauntings.
It can be spooky situations. Right. It can be.
It could be anything, really.
I
mean, everything I say is not necessarily paranormal. Like
anything otherworldly.
Like a couple episodes ago when I talked about the hearing my name in the freezer. Honestly, I can't say that was paranormal. I don't know what that was.
Right.
It was just something that spooked me, and
it wasn't a human.
Right. It could have been anything. It could have been a machine, like
humming,
and it just sounded like, you know what I mean? It could have been anything. And I'm not saying, that's paranormal. That's my experience. No, I'm just saying the story that I experienced that time. You use your imagination and you take it any way you would want to. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm just here sitting and telling my personal experience. That's all I'm doing.
Right.
You could take it like you want it.
We have a baby who's probably going to start throwing tantrums soon.
Okay, so we'll end the. We're gonna be ending our episode because we have a dog who doesn't eat at a certain time. She will let us know. So, is there anything else?
Schlante, friends.
Anything else for you? No. Is that what the Schlante Flens was about? Okay.
Mhm.
So, until next time, we will be episode 13. Ooh, 13. We should have waited for uh, Friday the 13th for that. Anyways, until next time, keep your eyes and ears open because you never know what's around that corner. We'll talk to you later.